The content on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing we say or do should be considered advice. No tax, legal, accounting, investment, or any other kind of advice. Anything you invest in is at your own risk. Do your own research and consult with professionals.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bytes Digital. Today, it is my absolute pleasure, after some audience requests, I've got the actual Kujira team out here on the pod. Thank you so much, Dub, for joining me. I know you guys have been incredibly busy launching your own app chain, going into this whole Interchain narrative. I'm so excited to really get into this, but really, thank you so much for coming on to the show. How are you doing today?
It's a pleasure, man. No, doing super well. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it's an honor. Likewise, we had a good catch up before this call, so yeah, it's good to know how it all fits in.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing? How has the team really been doing? What have been the priorities since the Terra crash? And I guess I wonder, like, how was the team really doing? Because I know Bytes Digital and I know a lot of protocols just had like basically treasuries completely decimated. So yeah, how was the fallout? How were the effects of the Terra crash on your guys' team?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably about as intense as everyone else. We did okay. Like we managed to safeguard, I think, more than 50% of our funds, which this is probably not a bad position to be in, all things considered. So yeah, I think we kind of just took the positive approach and just thought, you know what, like we're not down and out, not by any means. We have a good runway. We know what we want to build, and yeah, I think we had actually been chatting about some options, sort of strangely enough, a few weeks before all the events went down, and we were talking about Cosmos as a whole and talking about potentially, what would it look like being a layer one. And I think that's kind of why a lot of people were a bit surprised, right? Like, wow, it all just happened, and then
It was
almost
very
the
quick.
next day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there was a reason for that. We had discussed it, and I think when that all unfolded, we just thought, well, if the time isn't now, then it's never, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it was proof in the pudding, and I mean, I know I can speak from Bytes Digital side. We went straight for a rebrand after everything was happening. But the thing is that we were in the middle of changing our name. We were in the middle of going Bytes Digital because we were already like launching an osmosis validator.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete, if I'm not supposed to drop that, but I think it's public knowledge that we have an osmosis validator. But we were going into more chains. We were going across chains, so I completely identify with that. But yeah, how was the team? How was the protocol itself performing during the whole crash? Because from what I recall, I mean, I got personally absolutely wrecked by your freaking order book. So I'm a little salty about Kujira's like very well functioning order book. But regardless, I know a lot of lunatics were hurt by it, but it still
Yeah.
is a testament to the efficiency of your guys' order book. It survived and it actually performed really well. Could you talk a little bit about how that all operated behind the scenes?
At the time when everything was going down, of course, our focus was just on making sure that it works, because it's super, super important, right? Like, although this is the thing about liquidation, some people look at it and they almost think that we're the bad guys, but in reality, what's actually happening is that it's incredibly important for this liquidated collateral to get sold on the open market in order to keep these markets solvent, right? So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
sort of a bit of a bad example in a way, but of course, ultimately, the unwinding of the depegging of UST just meant that all bets were off. But yeah, as you say, it did its job. I mean, we had like tens of thousands of Luna in the vault at one point, all of which would have gone straight back to stakers. So it's well, I don't want to say it's bittersweet. At the time, it was only bitter, but as you say, it did kind of prove that it is able to work, especially when there's a lot going on. And that is kind of that's really the kind of source behind it, is that the queue can handle extremely high volumes without the need to scale up infrastructure at all.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, at the time we were just thinking, okay, let's do our jobs, let's just make sure that we keep going, because what else could we do? Of course, we had no idea ourselves where it would actually end up, like how far it would go. But yeah, of course, we were just kind of making sure we carried on doing our jobs and keep the lights on.
Yeah, I know that like there was like a stabilizing moment in time where like the price hovered around the $40 mark, and I know that that was around the time I was personally considering for my own like portfolio management to be like, is this where I cut my losses?
Yeah,
Is this like where is it? But my thinking was is like, all right, back in May of 2021, we had a similar event that happened. We had a similar
exactly.
unwind. We had a similar deviation. And everything was fine. The order books played its role. The on-chain peg kept, but it actually didn't. And
Yeah.
it actually failed. What was your guys' treasury doing all right? And like after everything was like said and done, or did you guys like did you have some runway to operate with? Because I know some teams just absolutely got like completely wrecked.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll be. I mean, be perfectly honest. Um, we hadn't moved the UST just yet because, like pretty much everyone in
No
Terra, we
one
didn't
thought
think.
it would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't think we needed to. So, but we did make a strategic call at one point, and yeah, we came out with about half, which, as I say, is cool for us. You know, we feel grateful to be able to carry on doing what we're doing. We wouldn't have
yeah,
had it any other way. We would have made a plan anyway. But yeah, we've got a decent runway, and now things are progressing really well. And you know, there's protocols launching and all sorts, which I'm sure we'll get to. But
yeah.
yeah, we got out. We got out okay.
That's great.
Not great, but we don't want to like
I mean,
dwelling on
yeah, I
that
mean,
doesn't
like,
help.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great. Great is relative in this entire situation because like
Exactly.
some teams didn't get out. So
Yeah, exactly. No, and I know I spoke to a lot of them, and yeah, it was really brutal, and yeah,
yeah,
of course, it's yeah, just not a good situation. But you know, what do we do? Like we got to wake up the next day and like literally crack on because
yeah.
that's what we do. We weren't going to throw in the towel by any means.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right, so let's get out of the sadness, the sadness that was the Terra V2 situation, or the Terra V1 situation.
Yeah,
I want to dig a little bit deeper on your guys' future plans. A little bit about your guys' new chain launch, but first up, I know a lot of audience and viewers like care about where your guys' snapshot situation is. So if you could break down a little bit what the plans were and why you guys did what you ended up doing, yeah, if you could break down
yeah.
that.
Yeah, of course. So we when it I think it was May 13th. I might be wrong, but we basically pegged a date. By that point, you know, pretty much everything had unwind pretty
Hmm.
significantly, and we simply had to draw a line in the sand. We knew right then and there that we were going to do a 1-for-1 swap on the new chain, and we had to, as I say, draw a line in the sand because what was happening is, of course, most people were just selling any Terra asset to try and get out, right? So there were
Yeah.
a few people. I mean, I can say that literally 99% of people seem to understand that, you know, we made a snapshot date. Anything after that point was literally just people selling out. So it became a tricky balance between respecting people that were holding and also having given people at least just a little bit of time during that whole you know, the craziness that was going on. So yeah, we had to pick a block height. We had to pick, you know, a specific time, and we just went for that. And we thought, listen, you know, there is no way, there's no real other way to do this. We have to pick one and go with it. And yeah, like we've got most of our community have come back on board. They seem really happy. They've all got their tokens now 1-for-1 on our Cosmos Layer 1. The migration process has now been done. We had a process on testnet, of course, to test everything out. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, and it's been going on mainnet now ever since we launched. So, yeah, the majority of people have already migrated over, and, you know, the community seems happy. The sentiment's up. I can say one thing, the sentiment does seem really good.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You know, it gives us something to work from, and now we can just push forward.
Yeah. So just anyone else in the audience that's curious about what's going on with the snapshot, found one of your guys' Medium articles talking about this, that there's something going on, or at least this is when the actual snapshot took place. If I'm
Exactly.
not, you guys took one snapshot and it was just on this date, May 13th. So if you guys are curious why or what happened with your snapshot, please refer to this block height. It's a specific block height. I do not believe there's any on-chain explorers for Terra Classic anymore. So I think that it's going to be rather difficult for people to go through the blockchain data at this point.
Yeah.
I know a lot of teams have had issues with like the whole being able to even analyze the chain data because it's all been like stopped.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I've been so head down since that announcement that I actually
yeah.
didn't even realize that. But what you can do, there's another Medium article in our Medium account, which is just, I think it's called "How to Migrate Kuji to Mainnet." You'll see it there. It's a third or fourth one down. And anyone that thinks that if you wake up and go, "Whoa, I think I was holding Kuji," there we go. Have a look at that. We go out and pretty good detail about what you need to do and how the whole process works. And you can, if you go through that and you see that you're in the snapshot, then you can just do the migration, and it's pretty smooth. And of course, just jump into our Telegram or Discord if you need help. There were a couple of weird quirks with the Terra Station wallet, like not popping up every single time, weird things like that. But we've fielded those questions so many times now that we know exactly what might be happening with each of the minor issues. But yeah, the majority of people have moved over. There are still like a fair few unmigrated. So who knows? Like, are these people that sort of gave up on crypto? I guess you never know with everything that happened. But probably important to note that we're not going to kind of switch that off. You'll always be able to migrate. So we're never going to say, oh, those tokens suddenly don't belong to you. So yeah, you can go through that anytime.
Okay. All right, everyone. The link will be in the description of the video if you're still curious about your Kujira snapshot. And also, you guys have the contact information of those that will help you through the process. Dove himself will actually walk you through it. Hopefully, doesn't have to require that, but I'll throw you under the bus for that one.
No worries. Yeah, it's plenty. We've got a great, like the wider team have been exceptional through everything. And yeah, but I still like to keep pretty active in the Telegram and Discord. I enjoy it actually.
Yeah, thank you for staying active in the Discord, because that's how I got in touch with you to even get this recording to happen.
Yeah,
that was great. All right, let's go into your guys' future plans. Like, what's going on? All right, this is the one that I've been really, really wanting to break down with you. Is your guys' like highly anticipated, at least my highly anticipated move for your project was to go off chain. I know here's your guys' roadmap. Basically everything has been checkmarked. You guys were going through an extreme process here, and you guys just kept knocking them out. But you have since started your own chain. What happened? Why did you guys go through it? What were some challenges? Like, what was the team's thinking? Basically, I just have endless questions.
No, happy to. So yeah, it was a whirlwind, and I think I mentioned, but we've been speaking about Cosmos in particular. Of course, our whole stack was on Terra to begin with. So that played a huge role in that, to be fair. But when we look at Cosmos and the SDK in particular and Tendermint, really, those people can't get enough, congratulations from us in terms of what they've done. It really does make things very easy. And we think that not just because of how easy it is, the fact, IBC and Interchain accounts just does feel like the future to us. It feels like a good direction for crypto to go in. And then mixed in with it being a comfortable stack for us, and something that we were familiar with already. It wasn't the biggest jump. It was still a bit of a jump, but it wasn't the biggest jump. I mean, look, at the end of the day, as I say, I think Cosmos was a bit of a no-brainer. We didn't really think too hard about going anywhere else. We wanted to stay within that ecosystem. We thought that was pretty important. And I think probably one of the biggest reasons was being able to kind of be the masters of our own destiny, especially after what happened. I think that was kind of the cherry on the top. It's like, well, even though it's a bunch more work, and of course you've got to go out and get validators, and there's a lot more focus on governance, and it's a lot more work basically, and a lot more infrastructure. Even with that in mind, we have this vision. I think we were starting. I don't want to say we were outgrowing Terra. I don't mean it in that sense, but I think Kujira was almost starting. it would have kind of started to become a bit confusing in a way, because we launch multiple products. We keep on building. We like to do that. If we see a gap in the market, especially a gap similar to Orca, where there's some kind of market that traditionally hasn't really been opened up to the public, we like to go off and try and build something to allow those regular crypto users to be able to explore these markets. So I think that was probably it. I think we were leaning towards being some kind of hub, which we were starting to on Terra, but we hadn't launched Fin. We had Beluga and obviously Orca, but yeah, I think it became natural for us to look towards being a DeFi hub, and the semi-permissioned element is pretty important, because we have this ethos called grown up DeFi. It's something that, it's a little tagline and it's a bit of fun, but it's something we're serious about. And we figured that if we launch a semi-permission chain and we push this ethos and we really vocal about it, and we really, tell people we believe in this, that hopefully people will go, oh, that's actually a cool thing. All these companies going bust, doing frankly, pretty shady stuff and not really being backed by X and Y and everything just going bang. The real focus for us is to try and build something that is sustainable, truly sustainable. And I don't want to just throw out buzzwords, but that's what we do. That's what we want to do. That's something we did with Orca. We don't want to just give away tokens in order to keep users. We want to say, hang on, we can actually build products that generate revenue that can ultimately go back to you as a staker and as a user. So yeah, I think in that regard, I guess some people consider us an app chain. I don't really mind. I don't. To me, it doesn't really matter. I personally don't really think of us as an app chain right now. It might seem that way, but we have 3 confirmed protocols that will be launching on Kujira. And again, the semi-permission element means that the community votes, and the only time a contract can get opened up is on those votes actually passing. So yeah, with all that in mind, these are kind of things that we were chatting about just as a team. But once we had this opportunity, and we think of it as a kind of opportunity to kind of go our own way, that's probably all of those things mixed together. Just, it felt right. It's like, well, where are we going to do this? Are we going to move to another chain and then be our own hub inside a hub? It just didn't really feel like a good fit. This feels like a good fit. We have our own suite of products, and then we have protocols that launch with the same ethos of real revenue, sustainable APRs, nothing that's backed by thin air, and all the rest of it. And so far, the community have really, really got on board with that whole ethos. And they're really grilling the people in the protocols inside our Discord. I mean, it's pretty gnarly out there, but it's a good thing, because it shows that the community really cares about this fund and Kujira and everything. So sorry to waffle, but yeah, it's all those things mixed together, and it just kind of, for all those reasons, it made a lot of sense to us.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with you in the sentiment that Kujira was already heading into that direction. I remember that when I first heard about you guys, I heard that you guys were an Orderbook. I was like, oh, okay, a liquidation protocol. Terra needs one. We need one on the native chain. But then I started finding out oh, Lighthouse just launched. Oh, they're not charging that many fees. Okay, so Lighthouse, okay, introducing some nice little competition here on this Orderbook front. But then Kujira comes out and it's like, all right, we're going to redo our entire staking mechanism to where it's impossible for Lighthouse to even try to say that they're better than us. And that's effectively what you guys did. But with that move, you signaled a change in the tone of what you guys were building. It signaled that you were interested in multi-assets, and you were interested in becoming a legitimate value add to an investor, something that can passively generate income in multiple assets. And that right there is what signaled to me that you were moving into this more of this interchain direction. And I think that overall, you guys were very in line with what Do Kwon himself. I know Do Kwon's being like burned at the stake right now, but I think you guys were very in line with what Do Kwon had envisioned for the Terra chain, and I think this was like a huge misunderstanding of what Terra was like going to ultimately become. And it's like the whole viral clip about Do Kwon saying we're going to disappear into nothing. At first,
Yeah,
Terraform Labs' like goal was to basically launch protocols on their chain and incubate those protocols and launch on those chains. But eventually, they wanted to basically mold all these protocols to become factories of protocols, to become factories of actual app chains and stuff like that. And I really see that with what your guys' roadmap has done and what it has done as an actual protocol, is that you have been this kind of like app chain factory where you guys have been developing these apps internally with your own team. However, now you guys are bringing in new teams here. So I'd love to hear your
exactly.
thoughts on like your guys' priority there. Now you guys are going to actually start cultivating projects.
Yeah, definitely. And it's another reason why we wanted to go that semi-permissioned route, because we really want to take a personal approach with everyone that launches. And yeah, by the way, I mean, I had a great relationship with Do. Obviously, the man's got, bigger fish to fry right now. But honestly, wish him well. And like, I mean, I hope that all works out. But yeah, I think that it's part of that whole goal of making sure that the vision remains intact. It's not like it's just our vision. We're not trying to impose that on anyone, but it's not a bad vision, right? Sustainability and actually trying to do things that can survive the test of time. Even if the APRs don't look amazing out the box, it's something that will grow. And so, yeah, it's for that reason, again, like you say, when we get new protocols on board, we're really active with them. We always have a Telegram group with our full 2 teams, calls, just constant backwards and forwards. And we're even willing to help out wherever we can, with our own kind of skills or advice or anything that anyone needs. So we'd like to think that's, I don't want to say it's a differentiator. I mean, I have no idea how other layer ones work in the background, but all we can do is do what we do. So yeah, you're dead right. IBC Cosmos, it fits right into that, because that literally comes out the box, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
literally.
before, like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we had to go off and collect these assets from, whether it's Orca or this app or wherever, and they went into the SQG pool. It worked. I mean, for us, it was almost like the beginning of what would ultimately become, I guess, with IBC. But yeah, now it's just incredible. I mean, honestly,
now you guys have this survey of a field ahead of you. It's like it's like you guys are exploding with like opportunities, and it's like exciting to see that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're getting Finn, we're getting the DEX ramped up. We're really excited for people to see what it can do at very high volumes. I think that's going to be where things get interesting. But also with Orca, which is the obviously the liquidation protocol. In a somewhat funny way, we're going to be launching on Karura. Yeah, there we go. Those are like the markets that you can see there. We had been chatting with the guys at Akala for a long time, actually. They really loved what we were doing on Anchor, and we started chatting to them sort of way before all the drama happened. And we'd been going backwards and forwards, and then of course granted, it was a bit on us that it was a bit delayed because we were launching this chain. And we just said to them, guys, sorry, we're going to be head down for a few weeks, but now it's all come to the fold, and we're going to be kicking off Orca on Karura, which will be a native Polkadot experience. I guess that's
exciting.
Yeah, probably something that's pretty cool, So you'll come along with your MetaMask wallet and do all your stuff in your environment that you used to. No bridging here and hoping this works. So that's pretty interesting. And now that Polkadot is opened up, we've actually been approached by, I think, 2 or 3 other lending markets on Polkadot. So I think this is kind of the effect. Yeah. So this is quite a cool thing that happened. So I think that's something that excites me probably, is that we can get, say, Orca or any of our products, but let's use Orca now as a good example. We get to go out and deploy this wherever we want, really. We have an EVM Q and app, and we have one for Cosmos, and of course we can just keep expanding on that as we go.
Yeah.
But I think you'll probably agree, crypto can be a little bit insular within
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think Terra was a huge culprit of that. It was so like Terra was like the bad child of Cosmos because it was against that. It was like we were the bad boys of Cosmos because everyone in Cosmos just like no chain maximalism. We're building Interchain, you know?
Exactly. So yeah, and then even outside of that, so of course you've got your dot maxis and your ETH maxis and whoever,
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool for us that we're able to go in now, say the Polkadot ecosystem are all like, oh wow, this is great, and we're getting shared from like the kind of the bats equivalents on there, and I think that's pretty cool for Reach. So that's one thing that I think is cool. We don't have to exist only within the bubble. We believe Cosmos is going to get huge, and that's great. But yeah, this is also a good example of being able to get like sort of inbound reach from other blockchains entirely. It's pretty cool.
So, all right. So now that we've covered great synergies and great partnerships that are in store for Kujira, I want to dig a little bit deeper. I have to ask the competition. What's going on that front? I know that a lot of people are aware of dYdX. dYdX, if you guys aren't familiar, I know I've talked about it a lot on the channel because it's just something that I'm so interested in. dYdX is basically a perpetual trading platform that was on Ethereum. And they actively were developing basically a whole order book system as well. Or I don't think it's exactly an order book system. I think it's slightly different. But regardless, they are launching on Cosmos. I would love to hear your thoughts on them potentially being competition or even partners. But I know that directly SEI, SEI, I believe is how you pronounce them, a team coming from Silicon Valley, they are directly building an order book, and they're saying that it is the best order book in all of crypto to ever have been seen. So what is your take on these potential competitions and what's going to be in the future of this whole Interchain? Because as with new partnerships opening up, so do new avenues of competition.
Yeah, totally. No, it's a good point. I could start with dYdX. I think that that's just exciting for Cosmos, right?
Absolutely.
I don't see any way that isn't a good thing for everyone. Rising tide floats all ships. I mean, you know the deal. And I think that's a huge signal coming from Ethereum being such a big player and then moving over to Cosmos. That is huge. And I think any Cosmos founders will agree. I don't think it's a bad thing to say, but admittedly, we need more liquidity coming through. If you look at Cosmos compared to a lot of other chains, it's actually still small, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Terra proved that you can come in there and you can make something insanely massive. So that's all good. But yeah, I think in terms of dYdX, I don't know enough about them. We'll definitely reach out to the team. We've spoken to pretty much everyone, Injective and all sorts of others that are supposedly seen as some kind of competition. I mean, I don't want to come with a boring answer. I'm just not sure what it looks like yet. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know enough about exactly what they're going to do when they hop onto Cosmos. I don't know if it's just going to be like, all right, we slurping up all the liquidity, but yeah, I have a feeling it's just going to put more eyes on Cosmos, and generally these things tend to work out. I mean, you mentioned it before with a competitor for Kujira. We tend to move very, very, very fast. That's a fact. Like, so
yeah, that's the tempo of the team. I mean, you guys had your own app chain launched within like a month of like the entire debacle. I think it was like exactly a month and the beta was live.
Yeah, exactly. It was 7 weeks from meltdown to mainnet. So, but so the test net came in between. So we will duck and weave when we need to, and we'll make a plan. And of course, the liquidation stuff. So this is where it gets quite interesting because obviously I'm one of the co-founders of Kujira, so I would say this, but we believe that the Orca model for liquidations is really cool, and any platform that has any kind of leverage can plug into that. So it's not just money markets and lending markets. It could be DEXs. It's basically anyone offering any kind of margin. You get the idea. So I have a sneaky feeling that these partnerships, these like symbiotic partnerships, will come up because of the suite of products that we have. So
Interesting.
yeah, and then
That's a Kujira edge. That's a
well,
Kujira edge there. Okay, interesting.
I mean, we'll see, but it's worked so far, and we're really happy. We get a lot of requests from new markets and stuff, and then I think once you've used Orca, you're probably going to say, okay, well now I'm in the Kujira ecosystem. Oh, well, they've got a DEX over there, and they've got this over there, and all these protocols. So it's probably always going to be a good thing for Reach, whether there's a temporary setback in like liquidity or whatever the case may be. I really feel like long term it's a good thing. And yeah, again, they're very new. I don't know if I think they're on testnet. So
yeah, there's not much information on them. I know that their testnet has been pretty heavy. Like they have a lot of traffic on their testnet because their whole thing is that they're trying to push Tendermint to its like maximum capabilities, like maximum.
Exactly.
So it's interesting to see them try to do that because they're trying to break Tendermint, see how much they can actually like take.
Yeah.
So yeah,
no, that's great. I mean, yeah, I wish them well, right? I mean, to be honest, we've chatted briefly to the guys on sort of Telegram and things like that, and
no trash talk.
No, it's nothing like that. I know that they want to focus on. I don't want to speak for them, but
yeah,
I think that their focus is going to be on Orderbook tech, if it makes sense, as opposed to necessarily being the Orderbook. Again, that might change. That was just
that was a conversation,
but I think that they're going to do really well. There's a lot of interest, and again, I think that it's a case of, I think Terra was a good example. How many protocols we're launching, and now sort of layer ones on Cosmos are almost the same thing. These app chains or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, again, I'd like to see more. Of course, they're going to need to launch, and they're going to need to get everything moving, much like the rest of us. But yeah, I think it's a good thing all around. All these people coming onto Cosmos is surely not going to harm Cosmos in general.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That's basically all my questions I have at this point. I mean, I know that people in the audience crave some alpha. If you have some alpha you want to drop, I know you guys are building a wallet, and you mentioned some protocols that have reached out to you on Polkadot. Maybe we can share that with the audience. It's whatever you want to offer up. But yeah, what alpha and what do you guys got coming up?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I can talk about the wallet. The wallet thing. I guess now that we're a layer one and there's going to be multiple protocols launching, it does make sense for us to have a dedicated wallet. I think just that's one argument for it. We would love to have something where we have an input in the UX, and I think at least we get a decent rap for that kind of work. So we feel like people seem to always be asking for a wallet that really has a lovely UX. We'd love to put our hats in the ring. That's not to say trashing anyone else, or that someone else might not come along and make a better one. That's all good. But I think as a layer one that's going to ultimately have a lot of projects on it itself, I think people are basically going to be expecting to have a wallet. And there are some restrictions with some of the other bigger ones out there. To display by default, there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do. And I guess it feels crazy for a kind of builder team like us to I guess sort of deal with those restrictions. We'd rather just go off and build something for our community, and hopefully for the whole of Cosmos. So yeah, the wallet's going to be interesting, and actually a big push for us. This is something that I think is pretty important, that hopefully people can get to understand about Kujira. We're not content with, I don't know, just saying we have a great DEX or we have this great product and focus everything around that. We genuinely want to be instrumental in bringing the next billion people to crypto. It's like it's a wild thing to say, but we have to have a goal. So we're going to be pushing hard towards decentralized commerce as a good starting point. We've got local peer-to-peer, local money, a peer-to-peer marketplace that are going to be launching with us. And this is incredibly important for especially emerging countries. I know I've mentioned this on another call before, but I can say it again briefly. Countries like South Africa, they have the highest number of mobile phones per capita, but the infrastructure is often very lacking, and you tend to get some issues in some places around inflation and all sorts of potentially corruption and whatever. So this kind of stuff is all going to ultimately feed in through the wallet as well. Calc Finance are building a DCA tool, which is going to allow users initially to really easily just DCA dollar cost average into first Kujira and then ultimately, I guess, any IBC asset, which is again, the beauty of, and that really, I mean, these teams are very, very smart, like just great guys. The presentation of the stuff that they're doing really feels in line with our like sort of hopes and expectations in terms of design and user experience. And then there's Black Whale, which is pretty interesting. They're going to be launching market making as a service. So people are going to be able to basically feed a vault and gain from the profits of market making, which is definitely going to help the liquidity on the DEX as well. So the liquidity thing is interesting with the DEX, right? Everyone says, oh, you have to have tons of liquidity. You've got to have tons of liquidity, but which is true. But the problem is most people behind the scenes, again, are literally just paying like tens of hundreds of thousands in these rewards. So what happens is, obviously, you get people that are getting very rewarded and you're getting high use of your product. But at the same time, your token is just taking a nosedive. So that's why we've been particularly strong on trying to find different ways to do this kind of thing. So I don't know if it's kind of alpha or not, but I think if you consider the quality of projects and I think the uniqueness in them, right? And the fact that they can give you kind of stable gains to help you DCA and market making as a service. So that's like the liquidity is going to start, driving up. The fees are going to start driving up, and we want to just make sure that we do this in a sustainable way. So all of this is going to play back into the wallet ultimately. We imagine something like a Kuji Pay,
and Kuji would like the wallet would have the infrastructure to onboard on and off ramp. I'm assuming they would have that on and off ramp for fiat currencies.
Yeah, so we have a partnership like many with Kado, and there's other stuff that we're working on. I swear to God, I really wish I could just say it, but it until we, what I mean, until it's like on the dotted line, it would actually be detrimental. But we're working on some really interesting stuff. I just don't want to say too much now because everyone now is kind of on the hunt for the next thing. But so the wallet's going to be big. We're going to keep onboarding protocols. We've got 4 lending markets that on Cosmos alone that we've had meetings for. These are all like established chains that are building lending markets. I mean, just look in the top 15 basically, like so there's a lot of movement in the lending market space in Cosmos, which is definitely going to play back into Kujira's Orca. And then like I said, now with the Polkadot news coming out with Akala, we launched first on Karura, which is kind of like the system network.
The Karura,
and we're going to get battle tested there and then be pushed up to Akala's EVM plus. But like I was saying, all this, the traction, people start seeing you in the Polkadot space. And I think with a product like Orca, because it hasn't ever been done before, like that's one thing that's pretty cool. When people see that, they think, whoa, like this is crazy.
Like plug and play kit.
Like usually we just offer off our liquidations to 10 bots that are waiting in the wings with all this capital. But hang on, this is so. And I mean, we don't have to go into the mechanics of Orca, but I think probably the alpha is that there's an extreme amount of interest in the Kujira suite of products, which I think people understand that part, but maybe don't always take a step back and think, well, hang on, like what happens here when doesn't even have to be the majority, a lot of money markets. So we want Anchor alone, and we were sustaining a really, really good APR, and that was from real revenue. So this is the goal, and I'm hoping that eventually there's going to be like a zoom out moment. It's going to be like, oh, hang on, okay, like this Orca is handling liquidations on like 10 money markets. Things are just coming in from all sorts of chains,
yeah,
through different chains, through the Cosmos, through IBC, and that's naturally going to start putting eyes on the other products. I think that the DEX is going to start getting more volume. People are going to see how well it can handle the volume. And then, yeah, the natural progression of protocols that just seem like very, very keen at the moment to jump on board. So hopefully it's the beginning of something like Terra. I don't mean it just in terms of this natural push and this excitement that people feel when they jump on board, and we just want to create like this kind of a happy home for really good grown-up DeFi products. That's
absolutely
really the goal.
Yeah, I remember that one Kujira was actually like fleshing out all the products. That was my favorite aspect about it, was that it was a place where an investor can go to and expose themselves to the volatility of the crypto space. And then like on top of the fact that I could put UST with like earning 15% APY, that was sick. At the same time, while I'm waiting to passively grab assets at a discount, that's nuts. And then the fact that you guys have the vision to do it to as many assets as you possibly can, that's insane. That's like a new kind of value add to all of the crypto space. Is like, as an investor, I could potentially go to Kujira and expose myself to the volatility of all these other assets.
Exactly.
All in all, genius idea, genius platform, and I only wish the best for you guys moving forward.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And I must just say, probably give Hutch, Hutch from Twitter. He was hounding us about that, like, the basket of assets thing, and he gave us a bunch of ideas. And I think eventually we just thought, well, like we don't need people to necessarily be like attached to Kuji, to the Kuji token. As long as we can give the people what they want, this thing will inherently kind of gain value. So yeah, we're not too stressed about how which way around that goes, but kind of give the people what they want, right?
Absolutely, I agree. Well, that's all I got for my end. Thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. I really appreciate you. This has been an incredible conversation. I hope everyone who's watching at home, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you guys are interested in hearing about what's Kujira going on, what they have going on, and if they announce any of those new partnerships pretty soon, definitely go give them a follow at Team Kujira on Twitter. They're very active on their Discord, so definitely recommend you guys checking out their Discord as well. Thank you so much, Dov, for coming on to the show. I'm sure that I will probably be reaching out to you soon once I hear about some new exciting developments in you guys' protocol.
Please do, man. Happy to chat anytime, honestly.
All right. Well, thank you guys, everyone, again, so much for watching this episode. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Please leave down in the comments what you think Team Kujira should prioritize. Should they go directly and start fighting SEI Protocol, or should they actually try to pursue some sort of partnership? I don't know. Who knows what the future lies forward for them as the kind of little new app chain into the Cosmos world. So that has been basically it. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next interview. Take care.